Welcome back to another episode of AIBiz. I'm your host Avik, and today we are diving into a subject that resonates with the entrepreneurs, leaders, and professionals across every industry. Like, how do you stand out in a world that feels more competitive than ever, right? So, dear listeners, my guest today knows the answer not just in theory but in practice. Please welcome Kirstine Openshaw. So, welcome to the show, Kirstine.
Hello. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Great, lovely. Thank you so much for joining us today. And, um, dear listeners, before we delve deep into the discussion, I'll quickly up to introduce with Christine. So, Christine is one of the top 0.5% of real estate agents in the entire Dallas, like Fort Worth area. So, a recipient of the prestigious Icon Agent Award and EXP Realty, and a woman who has turned her personal story of resilience and heart into a thriving business. So, Christine blends the British flair with Texan determination to create a real estate experience that is bold, authentic, and deeply human. So, beyond the luxury properties, innovative marketing strategies, and the high stakes negotiations, she brings something rare to the table, like empathy, fueled by her journey as a mother of two sons born with congenital heart defects. So, that personal mission has not only shaped her perspective but also ignited her drive to serve clients with unmatched dedication. So, today we were unpacking the secrets to standing out in a competitive market, like from mindset and marketing to authenticity and resilience. So, I'll not take much of your time, listeners. Let's get started. Welcome to the show again, Christine, and it's really a pleasure to have you here.
Yes, I appreciate it. So I'll just dive right in. Like, so much of what I see realtors do in our area is try to keep up with the trends and try to be the most popular and only share good news, right? Which, especially for our area right now, it feels inauthentic because the market is not great right now. The market has slowed down. So, how do you stand out when so many people are so scared? How do you stand out when so many agents are, trying to tempt clients with, not necessarily falsities, but maybe false hopes and, the idea that they're going to get a great deal and you're up against sellers that don't want to sell and things like this. So, one of the things that we've had great luck with our business is always coming from authenticity. It's always being brutally honest in as much of a kind way, as much of an understanding way as you possibly can with our clients. And, some of the ways that we do that is really just focusing on the human needs. Like, what are some of the basic human needs, especially right now, especially in this era where social media is so loud, the news is so loud, everybody's getting all of their data and their information from so many sources. They don't know who to trust. So if you then also becomes a voice to them where you're not being super authentic, they're not going to trust you and they're going to throw you in that bucket with everybody else. So one of the easiest and simplest ways to stand out is to be truly authentic. And if they say, well, how's the market right now? You say, you know what? It's kind of, it's not great right now. It's a struggle right now. This is really what we're up against. Rates are considered high, inventory's climbing. So that tells everybody to kind of hold off on buying or selling, and people are scared. If you were to do either, on your marketing front, social media posts like that, videos like that, TikTok or reels like that, you're gonna stand out because what are the majority doing? They're just telling everybody it's a great time to buy, date the rate, marry the house. They're saying all of these things that buyers have heard before and they don't trust. So if you come in authentically and just explain like, yes, things are not exactly how we want right now. And it works in good markets too. Like when we had our COVID markets, works almost the same. You just flip it on its head. Yeah, the market's tough to get one under contract right now because there's so many buyers. The rates are low. That means more competition. You just want to come in very authentically and get down in the in with the nitty-gritty with your buyers, in with it with the sellers, like, "I know it's hard right now. I know that you're not getting the amount of money you want from your house right now, and I understand that." Get into their motivation because as soon as you've connected with them on that authenticity, then you need to get into that basic human need of listening to the person. Most people with the world just being so loud, most people do not feel heard. They do not feel listened to, feel like they're being listened to. And then you add in the fact that you're a salesperson, they absolutely don't think that you're listening to them. They are very aware that most agents, just like cold callers and everything else, they're calling just to listen for the response so they can say their next scripted line. And when your prospect, when you're either your buyer, your potential buyer, or your potential homeowner that may be listing, when they feel that way, they don't want to share with you their real motivations. They don't even really understand their true motivations a lot of the time. So it's up to you in a way of standing out to be the one agent that actually asks them. That's, for an example, we have a client right now that's selling their home with us, and she interviewed 20 or so agents, and she was suggested a lot of agents. And when I spoke to her, my very first question is, well, tell me, what do you even want out of this house? Like, why are you even considering doing this in a market that you've already told me you don't think is a great market to sell in? Like, acknowledge the fact that she's aware that she doesn't like the market. And she turned around and she goes, "You know what? You're the only person that's asked me what I want out of this sale. Everybody else has just tried to convince me that now's the time and it's a great time and let's go." They feel it. So, just with her as an example, we have 2 sales and a referral just from being authentic and just asking her the question to get to know her, and then most importantly, just listen to what they have to say.
Exactly. Mm.
So, I know you touched on, standing out in marketing too. I know a lot of people are very scared of video. I know that they don't love video. You can do this exact same thing in story form, in written form.
Mm.
You can do it in carousels. You can do it in just images and just, your post format on Facebook. There's so many tools as workarounds. If you don't want your face on video, there's a way to still make it happen. Um, you know, Most people are watching videos or watching reels and Instagram stories. That's why those platforms are pushing it so much. But you don't have to have your face in it. You can do these as faceless videos. You can do it as a tour through the house. Put a trending sound and then put text over it and just explain the exact same thing in there and say, buyer question, buyer frequently asked question, is now the time to buy? Your text just responds to that. That's a great question. It truly depends what is driving you to buy a house right now. What is most important to you about moving right now? And acknowledge the market, acknowledge the hurdles that they're up against because they will automatically feel heard and seen and they will feel a connection with you. And then don't forget to have a call to action. Don't forget to tell them what to do. Because if they're scrolling at 11 o'clock at night, they're like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I feel that same way. Next. But if you have a call to action in there, they will actually be prompted to do something. And you can have that as a, comment, a trigger word. If you're not, into the world of tech and wanting to get into what trigger words are and any of the software that supports them, then just have them comment something else that you will take the time to reply to. Most of the time, they're not gonna DM you, they're not gonna call you, they're not gonna text you, they're not gonna email you, they're not gonna do anything that involves them getting off the app. So if you wanna stand out, make it super, super easy for them to do.
I totally agree. Yeah. Ooh, lovely. And like the luxury real estate market, especially in DFW, is highly competitive. So many agents try to compete on volume or flashy marketing, and you have chosen to stand out through the innovative yet personalized strategies. So, I mean, how do you strike the balance between cutting edge marketing and maintaining a truly personal touch?
So honestly, with the luxury showings that we have, I do not show up with any of the fancy, crazy marketing material. Um, I show up as me. We have a very genuine conversation. just being authentic again, getting to know them again, finding out about them. And then I help them come to the conclusion of how to get the home sold. So much of that, it's not necessarily scripts, but so much of it is just understanding how the human brain works and understanding how to guide them to have them understand their own idea of why they brought you there to sell the house. So, it kind of sounds like if someone is asking you how you're going to market the home, you just ask them questions that leads them to understand that the brochures in the house do not matter if nobody crosses the threshold to come see the home. It doesn't matter how, the sign has the big picture of the agent with their arms folded and smiling. That doesn't matter if no one's coming out there to drive past the house. If it's a gated community, why does the signage matter? Right? No one that doesn't belong in there already is coming in there. So there's a lot of conversations around that I have with the luxury homeowners to help them understand that a lot of that is just flash. It's just flashy, and in my opinion, it's designed because it distracts them from asking the agent the hard questions. Like, do you understand the CCNRs of this neighborhood? Do you understand the restrictions? Do you understand the buyer profile of who's going to suit this home? Because if the agent doesn't even know which buyer profile truly fits the house, how are they gonna advertise to that person? How are they gonna know how to have those conversations with that buyer to help them see that it's the perfect house for them? If they're all focused on their cool Canva graphics or their brochures or come from their marketing department at their broker for free or whatever it might be, that tells the homeowner that they have nothing else to fall back on. Whereas if they know, like, and trust you, just like the age old sales understandings, if the homeowner knows, likes, and trusts you, all the other stuff, they don't want proof of what you're doing. They don't wanna know all the ins and outs of how much ad spend you've done. If you're finding maybe either at appointments or you're being passed up for appointments or you're being passed up after appointments, you're finding that they asked you a lot of questions on the nuances of like, well, where are you gonna advertise? Which websites are you putting it on? And things of that nature. That tells you that they don't know, like, and trust you because they're trying to find another reason to work with you. They're not gonna have you in the house if they have every intention of not working with you. They don't wanna waste their time doing that, right? So they had the intention to hire you. You're giving them reasons not to hire you if they don't feel that rapport with you. That makes up for so much of the other flashy stuff.
Mm, exactly. Wow. Amazing, amazing. And lovely. Like, uh, if I ask, like, here's a change. I mean, challenging one. Like, many professionals say that they are authentic, but clients can often sense like when it's just a kind of sales tactic. So, how do you ensure that authenticity in your work is not just a kind of buzzword, but it's a lived value?
Um, I mean, you have to it all comes back down to belief, right? There was a science experiment years and years ago, and it's probably not the kindest experiment, but that's generally how experiments go, was they had a mouse, like a little mice in a water container, and they basically studied the mouse and said, "Well, how long are they gonna swim for before they drown and give up?" And I forget the details of it, but the first time it was, maybe for example's sake, we'll say an hour. You can Google it and find the story. Next time around, when they tested the next batch of mice, right before they gave up at that time point, they pulled them out. And then when they put the mice back in, they had a drastic change in the mice's behavior. They ended up swimming for something like 2 solid days.
Mm,
Massive difference, and the only contributing factor to this one gave up in an hour versus this one gave up in 2 days was the mouse then had the belief that someone was coming to save them. And if you can create that belief in yourself that you're going to outwork any other agent, you know that you understand that homeowner or the buyer's desires and goals and the parameters, like, I can't tell you how many homeowners I talked to that were expired, and even other agents, I'll ask, like, "Where's your seller's parameters?" They'll call me for help with a listing that's not selling. I'll say, "Well, what's their bottom dollar? What is the number that it no longer makes sense for them to sell at?" And probably over 90% of the agents I ask that question to do not know. If you don't know the intricacies of everything that contributes to that sale being successful for the client, you don't know enough about them. You cannot be authentic if you don't know what you're working with, right? I will usually know within $1,000 of what is still considered a win for my clients and what's considered not worth it, because we've had those dirty conversations. We've gotten past those limiting beliefs of, well, I can't ask that. That's personal. There is nothing more personal than selling someone's home. So you have to know the personal details. That's how you become authentic, because you get out of your own way. You take you out of it. You put them at the priority and you actually listen to what makes the sale work for them. Because if you're still in it going, well, I want it to sell, I want it to sell, I want it to sell, it doesn't matter. You as the agent, it doesn't matter. If you talk to a homeowner and you know the numbers don't work for them and they've told you where they need to be, the most authentic thing you can do is tell them, listen, I don't think that this is going to happen for you. I don't believe that, given what you've told me, it sounds like now is not the best time unless you're willing to come off the price or whatever the contributing factor might be to make this happen. Because if you can look at the comparables and know that the number's not there, you're doing them a disservice, which is completely unauthentic, to put them on the market and pull them through that.
True. Lovely. Yeah. And for someone who's listening who feels overwhelmed by the competition, whether they are in the real estate, entrepreneurship, or even creative fields, so what's the first step um, they can take today to start standing out in their own industry?
I would say the first step is to really kind of pros and cons your experience and your comfort zone and your self belief in the lane that you're looking to excel in. So, if this is someone that owns another form of business, just is it something that you feel truly capable of being the best at to help someone? Because if you don't, that's your first stumbling block. What needs to change? What do you need to start doing? What do you need to stop doing to help your self belief be better in that lane? Because everything after that, it's built on a rocky foundation. If you don't truly believe that deep, deep down that you're their best option, everything after that is not gonna be felt by the homeowner or the prospect or the customer. It's not gonna be felt as real, and you're going to just burn bridges and lose clients because of that. And it could be something really simple. It could just be a case of you need to recontextualize and reframe how you're looking at something. If you're looking at something and you're just in the real estate space, well, I don't have the brochures. Okay, how can you recontextualize and reframe that? Do the brochures sell the houses? No. Do the massive signage outside of the property sell the house? No. As realtors, we generally do that to brand ourselves and get ourselves notoriety. It doesn't usually sell the house. Most of our properties in our area sell to people out of the area. So get down to the details of where are you losing that self belief to take that next step. Once you find that, then you just keep building on that and you keep pushing the envelope and just learn to trust the process of asking open ended questions. A lot of salespeople generally think, like, well, I know this is how this is done. Hence, that's what your job is, your role is. The consumer doesn't know it's supposed to go that way, right? So if you're there with your scripts and your slick lines, the consumer don't know that they're supposed to stick to that. So when they then say something off the rails or they have what we've labeled as an objection, that comes from them not understanding something else and the expectation not being set. When you're confident in your ability, you overcome those objections before they ask them. You already know that these are concerns and you help them come to the conclusion that you're the right person to fix those things before they have to have the worry of asking.
Mm. Agree, totally agree with you. Lovely. Christine, thank you so much for this incredible conversation. And I have to say that you have shown us that standing out in a competitive market is not about being louder or flashier, but it's all about being truer. Like, it's all about leading with empathy, like showing up with integrity and having the courage to weave your personal story into your professional journey. So, for all the listeners, like maybe if you have felt invisible in your field or pressured to compete in ways that don't feel authentic, then let this be your reminder that your uniqueness is your advantage, and don't bury it. Let it shine. So, Christine, if someone wants to connect with you, what would be the great medium to connect?
Yeah, I mean, they can look me up on my website. Probably the easiest website for them is themagneticadvantage.com. They can find a copy of my book on there too, where we dig into this in a lot more detail. Um, and I'll have future releases that we're going to be loading on there over the next couple of months as well, that really will deep dive in this and help people and meet them where they're at so that you can keep building on this, because it's not going to be something you can change overnight, and you need to make sure that you don't make yourself wrong for that. Like, change doesn't just happen. It takes multiple attempts. You're rewiring yourself, you're rewiring your brain. You're coming into this with a lot of inherited limiting beliefs that this is the way it's supposed to be, and it's supposed to be hard, and you got to spend money to make money, and all of these limited beliefs that someone gave you. So to rewire all of that and come into believing yourself, and then therefore creating belief from your clients, it's gonna take a while, and it takes repeated lessons of this to overcome all of those past beliefs. So I would say visit my website, themagneticadvantage.com, and we can dig into more help on that.
Lovely. Great. Great. So, dear listeners, what I'll do is I'll put all the links into the show notes for a easy reference. And with this hope, until next time, stay healthy, stay mindful, and keep building a life and career that truly stands out. So, thank you so much.